Hi, today we are going to talk about making of many Maqbools, the journeys which made possible with the art and art which made journeys possible. There are 1,000 reasons for you to know this gentleman. His name is Maqbool Fida Hussain. One of his artwork, Gram Yatra, sold for 116 crore rupees. Lot of money. Here we are celebrating the price he fetched in Indian auction house. But do we know the price he paid to be there? We all know the outcome of becoming MF Hussain. But do we know the backstory? He was born in a Pandharpur, a temple town of Maharashtra. His childhood spent in Baroda, Indore and Ujjain. He was lucky that somebody suggested him to JJ School of Art. He was there and he found his peers there. Maqbool Fida Hussain was a phenomenal artist. He was a legend. He was a cult by himself. He was famous for a lot of things. He was famous for his body of work, for his eccentricities, for his obsession with Madhuri Dixit, for his craziness, walking barefoot. Sometimes I wonder, a boy from Pandharpur, what if he has never landed in land of Mumbai? What if nobody has ever suggested him to join JJ School of Art? Have you ever thought that there may be a lot of Maqbools in making? India is a vast country with 1600 art schools. There are thousands of young boys and girls are pursuing their degree in MF and BFA. Where are they right now? Which tiny town of India they are growing up? Let me take you to this beautiful town called Lal Gola. Ironically, its name is Red Dot. Lal Gola. A young boy, imagine growing up in Lal Gola in a farmer's family, going to that market, participating in their festivals and still having a dream of becoming an artist. He found us. He reached out to us from Lal Gola to Ahmedabad. He sent in his artwork to get recognized, we don't know, to get validated, to get exhibited, to be seen. That was his hope. That was his dream. To our surprise, he was not only validated and acknowledged by mammoth jury of Indian contemporary art scene, but also won an award. A boy from Lal Gola, all the way from West Bengal to Ahmedabad. When he flown in to attend the award ceremony, he was in disbelief. The jury here selected his work were comprised of Padma Shri, a senior artist, a sculptor, an academician, and a very well-known painter. This is our journey from last 9 years. We have reached more than 1532 pin codes, artists, 6,900 artists shortlisted, and 82 awards given. We decided to stay away from the selection process because we knew that it has to come from the fraternity itself. We found our juries who selflessly gave us a time, who believed in us. Manu, Madhvi Parekh, Muzaffar Ali, Mallika Sarabhai, Amit Ambala. These are some of the names of our jury from previous years. They believed in us. They gave their time selflessly. They helped us to achieve our objective. Sometimes I wonder, what if we would have not found our cheerleaders in this jury? We would have been able to reach where we are today. This is the process of jury where we go through almost 3,000 artwork every year. From 3,000 artwork, we decide 125 artworks. And then from 125 artworks, we give 10 awards. That's the process. Jury process takes a lot of time. And they fondly call it Mazduri and not jury. My jury said Ruben has been working with one single objective, to find new Maqbools who are somewhere growing up in small town. Let me tell you very interesting story, very moving story for us. In 2019, when we announced our lead winners, one girl from Karnataka came up with a very interesting request, bit strange for us, because she refused to accept a flight ticket, but she said that I need money instead of the flight ticket. And we said, okay, fine. To our surprise, she came for the award ceremony with her father, mother and younger brother. It was a wonderful ceremony. Very talented girl, all the way from Karnataka. Beautifully painted her dadi's rug. Nice story behind it. We all loved her work. After the ceremony, her father came to me and requested a picture. And we said, of course. After the picture, they said, he was not even moving from his place. And I said, are you all right? And there was a lot of joy in his face, and the father was very, very happy. But I could see the tears at the end of his, in the corners of his eyes. And then he said, which moved me to the core, that, it took us one generation to be recognized. I could not understand the statement he made. But then I realized, he told me that he was the first person from his village to come to Baroda all the way to MOS University to study fine arts. And he had to go back because he has an old ailing parent. After he went back to his town, there was no mechanism. There was no support system. So he had to odd jobs, painting number plates and making portrait of deceased. But then he kept doing some odd jobs. But amidst that chaos, at the end of the day, he would go home and paint. And this little girl would see her father every day painting in his sketchbook. And then she decided to become an artist. And when she won an award, he felt that he has won an award. And he came to us and said, it took us one generation. And that is when we felt that, okay, maybe we are doing right thing. It has given us a lot of strength to keep pursuing what we are believing in, irrespective of any kind of struggles or problems we face. And that is when the COVID happened. I would like to request you, all of you, to just close your eyes for 5 seconds and think of something beautiful. Maybe a rainbow, a sunflower, a painting, a beautiful mountains, a forest, or maybe intricate designs of your mother's sari or a smiling face of a child. When we do this, when we engage with the aesthetic of living, our brain get engaged, and the part of brain release a happy hormone. It's called dopamine. There are other ways to find dopamine high, but we are not going to go there. We are going to strictly remain in realm of art. And that happy feeling is what every artist is experiencing when they are creating. And we as a viewer try and also engage and experience the same thing. When COVID happened, we were 4-year-old. We had around 4,000 artist profile and 40 winners. It was very, very difficult for them, like all the other professionals, to survive. We were just witnessing the change and the new scenario which has thrown upon us. But that is when we started receiving mails from these young and emerging artists, whom we have validated, whom we have recognized because of the COVID. We were struggling to get the basic amenities. It was a difficult time for everybody. We didn't know what to do, but it gave us a sleepless night. As a foundation, we knew that we promised them once in a year competition, we'll find a good artist, good bunch of artists, and then we'll give them to the ecosystem which helped them thrive. That was a once in a year thing. Here they were expecting us to give a reassurance, help them, and make them believe in themselves. How do you do that? COVID has not just made our life major alteration in our life, but also gave us a new habits. Sticking to our screen, being more aloof, being inwardly. You don't need an army to do something like that. I found that in my friend and my co-founder, who was a senior editor. By then, he had left his job and he was already a consultant to decided to do something about our young artists. They had made a lot of art during those years, 1.5 years, but they didn't know where to display those artworks because nobody was happy and excited about the art shows at that time. So we decided to create a marketplace. I'm very consciously not saying art gallery because we wanted to create a democratic platform. We wanted to give platform to all of them. We don't know who will buy or who will not buy, but at least there is a platform where you can tell people that our artwork you can go and see there. So we started this marketplace. At the same time, they needed space to exhibit their work, and they needed somebody to hear their stories. So we decided to come up with Abir Pothi, which is a digital art newspaper, which is India's, in fact, first digital art newspaper, where we give voice to unheard voices, where we talk about their struggles, where we talk about how to be or survive as an artist, Abir Pothi has created a very, very niche readership. We have filled in the gap. We have been there for people to read about this artist. We were creating a bridge. We were connecting the dot. While working with Abir Pothi, we realized there are a lot of areas where they need support. From becoming once in a year event kind of a thing, every day we are writing 8 to 10 stories around art, architecture and design. Artists are having assurance that somebody is writing about us, and there is somebody who is reading about us. There is a magic in .com. Abir Pothi has so far reached around 40 countries and more than, I think, 5 lakh people read it every month. Yeah, so there is an interesting twist. When we reach out to a lot of jury, we requested them to come on board as a jury. And people ask, who the hell are you? Why are you telling people that we should do something about this? You know? And I know, because I am a self-taught artist, I have been on the other side of table, other side of the fraternity, where you also struggle as an artist. From childhood, I always wanted to paint. But at that point of a time, and I felt left out, I felt bad about it, but I kept painting, I kept working around it, I kept doing something around it. So once I finished my education, I quickly took a job. That environment gave me so much of strength to work as an artist. A man walked into our art center. His name was Tufan Rafai. We all heard these stories about him, but nobody knew Rafai. He was a very humble fellow, passionate about earth colors. All his life, he dedicated around earth colors. When I say earth color, is a natural dyes, colors which is extract from vegetables and minerals. And I got excited seeing his body of work. I felt, how come with the dirty looking brown bark you got this beautiful red? And he said, for that you joined my workshop. Because of the running water and the beautiful painting emerged out of it. And that is when I realized that, okay, I found my purpose. I want to paint with natural dyes. And I was very happy that I ultimately found him. He's been my inspiration. He was my French philosopher and guide. But that is when the struggles start, because I was struggling to be part of the group shows where they would not accept me, because my medium was different. It was natural dyes, it was no acrylic, no oil paint, it was not known. So they kept rejecting my work. I had no clue why I'm not being picked up for a group shows. Then somebody said, oh, natural dye is a field. Gradually I was experiencing and also realizing that it is so important to be part of an art school. It is so important to have your peer group. It is so important to have people validate and acknowledge your work. I kept it, I kept at it. I kept painting, I kept doing work, and ultimately I did around 50 group shows and 11 solo shows. But what I felt while doing this, so what do we do? That is when the idea of Abir came in picture. I'm glad that we could do it. I'm very happy that we could be an instrument for people like bright boys and girls who are from scattered smaller town of India, but very, very promising and very, very bright and brilliant artists. In last 9 years of journey, we realized that what we are doing is right, not because we were getting validation from fraternity, even from this young artist, but because it felt good. I'm a believer of goodness. I believe in goodness. I believe when you do something with right intention, at right time, right people will come along. And that is when my jury, who came to us when we requested them to join us, 2016, that is when we started our foundation. The more I worked for the foundation, my canvas started shrinking. Of course, being a painter is a lonely journey, and to paint is a very, very fulfilling and a satisfactory exercise. But we were driving our strength from becoming a bridge between a farmer's boy to society, bridge between emerging artists and art galleries, bridge between a buyer and an unknown artist. And we created an ecosystem. We were not just giving away trophies. We were creating, it is like flipping a switch. We were creating opportunities, because when people saw who were validating them, they came into radar of these big galleries of Mumbai, Delhi, Calcutta, Bangalore, and they started picking them up. And every year there is a set of artists we will recognize, we'll give them an award, they'll be picked up by the galleries, and we'll be happy to let them go. And every year we'll be ready for the new batch of artists. And that is what we've been doing from last 9 years. What it has given us in this ecosystem, when we created a marketplace, a lot of architects started looking at artists. They started buying art from us. So what has happened is, we were talking about them. We were finding, discovering them, giving them award, acknowledging them, putting their exhibitions, also giving them space to exhibit. And then there was a last loop which got completed when the architects started noticing them. We were invited to a very, very reputed architects exhibitions and forums where young artists been displayed, and they would buy artwork. We'll do art advisory with using their artwork. And that is how the ecosystem thrive, you know, and we were very happy that we could do it. When Abir Space, Abir Pothi and Abir Space, which is an art newspaper, art marketplace, and art foundation, when they amalgamate together and synergize, we could create a community of more than 9,000 artists. In these 9,000 artists, we have reached to 749 pin codes from Kashmir to Kanyakumari. We gave them chance, instead of we gave them chance, they gave us hope. Decided to walk on, but then sometimes I miss my painting, sometimes I miss my studio, but when I flip through the catalog, I feel it's okay, no regrets. I'm okay not being there in my studio anymore. Art Foundation is a very, very different place than being in art studio. When you are in art studio, you engage with yourself, you are painting your emotion, you are expressing yourself, you are trying to convey something in that limited space of your canvas and want to talk about yourself. But the moment you go to Art Foundation, that space, you are hearing the story of this lot, young and emerging artists of India. You are hearing their aspiration, you are hearing their desire, you are engaging with their struggle, you are exploring ways and new avenue to reach out to them, and they found us and we found them. It is a win-win situation. It is a beautiful space to be in. All I want to say is thank you so much for this beautiful platform, and we shall keep doing this journey forward. Thank you so much.